The definite guide to customer queue management service for SMBs. What is the queue? The concept of a queue is not only deeply rooted way back to ancient human history, but to animal species as well. Maybe not exactly called a queue, but the concept of a queue can be manifested as a pecking order established in a typical primitive human tribe or a lion pride in enjoying a new kill. In a lion pride, the lion king usually gets its lion's share first, then the lionesses and finally the cubs. In other words, pecking order, or a queue in its general sense, is normally formed when the demand for certain things momentarily exceeds their supply. The bigger the disparity between supply and demand, the longer the queue. What are the issues typically found in queues? In an animal, pride, power, and brute force determine pecking order or priority in a queue. There is no sense of fairness. Survival is the only issue that matters. But that is not true in a civilized human society. In a civilized human society, however, a queue is a line of people awaiting services or products in a certain order and is expected to be conducted in some sense of fairness to earn the trust of all participants. In addition, in a democratic society, the spirits of democracy further push for a queue being conducted in good faith, with a certain degree of operational transparency, in keeping participants well informed of important facts, with due diligence, due notification, basic protection of privacy, law compliance, culturally conforming etiquette, and with a high degree of efficiency. These additional desires are well pre-programmed into the majority of customers' minds, but are hardly explicitly spelled out anywhere in this context. They may not be requirements but have a very strong influence on customer satisfaction on their waiting experience, and a great implication on customer loyalty to the business conducting the waiting queue. Conducting a queue meeting all high-level principles described above is no small feat. It is even more difficult for anyone to translate all these principles into a concrete set of rules to follow in any particular setting. As a result, typical issues found in queues are all sorts of troubles created by either overly simplifying the management of the queues, or failing to recognize the complexity of queue management, including but not limited to excessive customer complaints about their experience with the waiting queue, breaking of laws or incurring legal liabilities, inefficient business operations, and loss of customer patience and loyalty to the business, etc., all hurting the bottom line of business. What is the issue of fairness in queues? The most common fairness expectation is first come first serve. It may sound simple at first sight, but it is hardly realistic. Because there are always situations that require breaking this rule. Such as in dealing with 1. A medical emergency of a patient requiring immediate attention from a surgeon who already has other less urgent patients waiting in queue for his or her service. 2. A queue participant who did not show up promptly when due for service until later to reclaim his/her position in the waiting queue. 3. An unexpected event causing the business momentarily cannot serve someone in the queue who is due for service until an uncertain amount of time later. 4. An existing customer experienced some incident causing him or her not able to continue getting service by the current service provider and has to re-enter the service queue again. And there may be many more situations. In either of these cases above, making the customer waiting at the end of the current queue is unreasonable, unfair, unrealistic, and even problematic. So the rule of first come first serve must be broken. How to break such rules so that it is fair to all participants of the queue is undoubtedly a tricky issue to solve, and is highly context dependent. In any case, this implies that sometimes cutting the line is an absolute necessity to run a business. But it is also well known that people can sometimes shoot to death a line cutter at a gas station in the US. From this, it is easy to appreciate the importance of managing queue well so that such type of unfortunate accidents won't happen. This is why all other previously mentioned additional desires become very important and are in fact essential requirements for preventing unfortunate accidents from happening. Before describing how the additional desires become very important and are in fact essential requirements for preventing unfortunate accidents from happening, one can easily appreciate from here that managing manually a queue well in compliance with fairness standard and additional desires is no small feat, and can be easily beyond an average person's ability. How can the additional desires prevent an unfortunate accident from happening and improve business bottom line? To prevent an accident from happening, the key issue is to manage the queue so well such that all participants believe the necessary line cutting is fair based on some principle, reasonable under the circumstance, or there is a prior opt-in with pre-agreed on acceptance of such exception which is implied at any participant's initial registration in a queue, and the queue is conducted in an impartial, transparent, trustworthy, consistent, and efficient manner within the tolerance of all queue participants' patience. Managing a queue in good faith, with certain operational transparency, and keeping participants well informed of queue status can be helpful in convincing participants in the queue that the queue is indeed managed in a fair, impartial, and trustworthy manner. Even if not perfectly so, the appearance of managing queue with due diligence and due queue status notification will inspire understanding and empathy from participants to minimize the chance for any of them to cause any trouble or to leave the queue with deep frustration without wading through the service queue and spreading bad customer experience about the business. Managing queue in compliance with basic protection of privacy, relevant laws, and culturally conforming etiquette will prevent a business from legal liabilities due to law violations and unpleasant feelings of participants, respectively. Managing queue with a high degree of efficiency helps speeding up the queue within the tolerance and patience of participants, also reduces resource requirements to improve the bottom line of business. Furthermore, the combined effect of all these desired features also helps in the proper management of queuing service quality expectation to the satisfaction of the waiting customers to retain their loyalty to the business and spreading reputation by word of mouth, which in turn further improves the business bottom line. What can a queue management service do for a business? From the importance of managing queue well and the difficulty of managing one manually, one can understand the need of having queue management to delegate most of the complexity of queue management to such technology to streamline the process at reliable and consistent quality. Furthermore, the use of a digital queue management service also enables the queue to be a convenient virtual queue without losing any functionality of having a physical queue. This further makes all participants in the queue feel comfortable waiting because there is no need of waiting physically and the participants can use their time more efficiently to further reduce the apparent duration of the actual waiting time. In the post-COVID-19 era, the general desire and need for the waiting participants to maintain safe distance among each other is also easier to achieve, and can even create a competitive advantage against those businesses which do not adopt a queue management service. Besides the passive queue management function, if a business owner is interested in actively engaging all visitors, a queue management service can collect statistics of queue management operation for the purpose of resource planning, continuous improvement in queue management, employee morale and performance management, business image management, and optimizing the customer experience, etc. What are the recommended queue management service selection criteria for SMB? Unlike big businesses with frequent foci on either. 1. The comprehensiveness of incorporating all latest technologies irrespective of their potential low value to cost ratios. 2. Employee management, analytics and statistics, and business decision support features. 3. The high degree of brand name-based customization of the queuing service platform capability. 4. The ability to accommodate diverse organizational structures and service queue types and processes. 5. The scalability of the service to accommodate vast customer volume changes. 6. The convergence of video streaming, signage, and queuing service for creating brand name image impact, or 7. A dedicated combination of the customized design in hardware, software, and/or media for marketing and branding. SMBs focus more on the following. 1. Taking advantage of the benefit of scale of existing queuing service with minimum need of customization, adopting a collection of all essential queue management service features at the best value to cost ratio within budget. 2. Minimum initial capital investment. 3. Minimum ongoing operational costs. 4. Minimum time to set up. 5. The minimum learning curve for queue management service users. 6. Despite the low cost of service adoption, the service can still compete and excel in certain aspects against other more expensive queue management solutions due to its unique new innovative design or features in vogue and not available in other solutions, such as non-SMS solution for less intrusion, wider coverage less costly, and easier privacy protection and data security regulation compliance, or non-printing solution for being green-spirited, cost-saving, and reduction of failure rates due to less moving parts, etc. It is time for SMB to compete at the same level as the big ones do. In the past, partly due to the high cost, and partly due to less perceived need for adopting a queuing service solution, SMBs were typically excluded from its adoption. But COVID-19 has substantially changed our business environments. Whenever walk-in customers are expected, people expect business to have the ability to provide safe distance protection to all its customers, including those waiting for services in the queue, preferably a virtual queue. The adoption of a queue management solution for SMBs has changed from being desired to being required for a business to stay competitive. Meanwhile, the popular needs of such an SMB-focused queuing service solution also create an opportunity for SMBs to leverage the expected benefit of scale of such service and to adopt such service at an unprecedented low cost. Therefore, it is time for the previously underserved SMB community to compete at the same level as the big businesses do now if the SMB can adopt a queue management solution meeting all the selection criteria mentioned previously. For the adoption of such queuing service designed specifically for SMBs meeting all these selection criteria offered at an unbeatable price, please visit http://crowdinfo.net for more details.